He finally spoke out, and someone from the past just reacted. Brooklyn Beckham has broken his silence, and this time, the response didn't just come from fans or tabloids. It came from someone who knows the Beckham family story from a very different angle. After Brooklyn released a detailed public statement explaining why his relationship with his parents has become strained, one unexpected voice entered the conversation: David Beckham's former assistant, Rebecca Loos. Brooklyn's message was calm but firm. He described what he sees as years of tension, misunderstandings, and emotional pressure, saying that he and his wife, Nicola Peltz Beckham, have felt repeatedly undermined. He didn't accuse anyone of a single dramatic moment. Instead, he framed the rift as something that built slowly, through patterns he says were hard to ignore. What made this moment stand out was not just what Brooklyn said, but how openly he said it. For the first time, he appeared to be setting boundaries in public rather than letting speculation speak for him, and that shift caught attention far beyond the usual celebrity commentary. Shortly after his statement began circulating, Rebecca Loos reacted in the comment section of an Instagram post discussing Brooklyn's words. Her response was brief, but loaded with meaning. She expressed support for Brooklyn, saying she was glad he was finally standing up for himself, and added that she had long felt sympathy for Nicola. That reaction immediately sparked discussion because Rebecca Loos is not a neutral observer in the Beckham family narrative. In the early 2000s, she became part of global headlines after alleging an affair with David Beckham, claims David and Victoria Beckham have consistently denied. Despite that, Rebecca has continued to stand by her version of events over the years. When another commenter described Brooklyn's statement as a fascinating admission, Rebecca replied with a simple message, suggesting that, in her view, truth eventually surfaces. She didn't add new accusations or details, but her timing alone gave her words weight. According to publicly available interviews, Rebecca has previously explained why she chose to speak out at the time. She has said it was about control over her own story and about responding to what she felt was unfair treatment. Those past experiences are why her reaction now is being interpreted by many as more than casual commentary. Meanwhile, David and Victoria Beckham have openly spoken in the past about how damaging rumors and speculation were to their marriage, especially during that period. In later interviews and documentaries, they described that time as deeply painful, but also something they fought through together as a family. That history is what makes the current situation so complex. Brooklyn's statement is not happening in isolation. It's unfolding against decades of public narratives, private family dynamics, and long memories that never fully faded. And now, with voices from both the present and the past weighing in, the question becomes less about taking sides and more about understanding how family relationships change when every disagreement plays out under a global spotlight. Because once a story stops being private, even a few words can reopen chapters people thought were already closed. What's especially striking is how carefully Brooklyn framed his words. He didn't ask the public to judge his parents, and he didn't position himself as a victim of a single event. Instead, he focused on patterns, how repeated experiences can slowly reshape trust, even in families that appear unbreakable from the outside. According to sources close to the situation, Brooklyn and Nicola have tried for years to keep their disagreements out of the spotlight. That's why this moment feels different. Going public wasn't presented as retaliation, but as a final attempt to reclaim control over their own narrative. Rebecca Loos's reaction amplified that shift. Whether people agree with her or not, her comments reminded audiences that the Beckham family has long lived with two versions of reality: the polished public image and the private strain that comes with constant scrutiny. Her support of Brooklyn tapped into a broader conversation about power dynamics, privacy, and what it's like to grow up inside a global brand. At the same time, it's important to note that David and Victoria Beckham have consistently emphasized unity, resilience, and family above all else. In previous interviews, they acknowledged mistakes, pressure, and moments of doubt, but always returned to the idea that protecting their family was the priority. From their perspective, silence has often been a form of protection, not control. That contrast is where the tension now lives. One side choosing distance and transparency, the other holding on to discretion and a carefully managed public presence. Neither approach is inherently right or wrong, but when they collide, the fallout becomes impossible to ignore. For Brooklyn, stepping back has reportedly brought a sense of calm. In his own words, he described feeling less anxious after creating space between himself and the environment he grew up in. For many viewers, that sentiment resonates far beyond celebrity culture, touching on universal questions about independence, boundaries, and adulthood. And yet, the story is far from over, because behind every public statement, there are private conversations we'll never hear, and decisions still being made behind closed doors. The real question now isn't who's right or who spoke first. It's whether a family so used to fighting external pressure can ever learn how to face conflict without an audience watching every move. And that raises something even bigger.